What's up, everybody? This is Mike. Today we're going to get into this situation happening here in Poland that's been going on for a couple of years now. The previous administration, even though Donald Tusk is currently the Prime Minister of Poland, they've been kind of kicking the can around down the road for a few years now. This video is basically more informative. I would like to get you some information out there, at least of what I can help you with if you're thinking about moving here, what you might expect moving to Poland, and these are the three contracts you might have at your disposal. And unfortunately, depending on the person or the employer you work for, they might not offer you any other alternatives but the umowy zlecenie. So we're going to get into that, and also real quick before I read this article real quick to show you what's happening here in Poland. I'm actually going to further this interview with a person I know who's an HR director, or not an HR director, but she works in HR. She's an HR specialist. Her name is Joanna. She's going to shed a little bit more light on the situation here when it relates to Poland and its contracts. Poland boosts labor inspector powers to curb precarious work. President Karol Nawrocki has signed into law a government bill giving National Labor Inspectorate powers to reclassify certain freelance and business-to-business contracts as standard employment in a move aimed at reducing precarious work. Got some shady stuff going on in Poland. The measures to strengthen PIP were one of the milestones agreed with the European Union to unlock billions of euros in post-pandemic recovery funds for Poland, which was required to introduce the reform by the end of June. So this was a conversation happening when Donald Tusk was running for Prime Minister. So that happened, and now the EU, I suppose, wants Poland to live up to its end of the deal. And Nawrocki is saying, you know, on the other hand, I don't know if this is a good thing. However, while he signed into bill, he being Nawrocki also referred it to the Constitutional Tribunal for assessment after expressing reservations about the powers now handed to PIP. The new law allows PIP inspectors to reclassify B2B contracts, or so-called junk contracts, umowy śmieciowe, as employment contracts. I didn't know about that one. To umowy o pracę, which is a better one. This is the one with the guarantees, when a worker is effectively treated as an employee despite being formally hired as a contractor. Employment contracts provide stronger protections and benefits, including paid leave and Social Security coverage, while also imposing greater obligations on employers. By contrast, B2B and junk contracts typically lack such protections. The changes have been welcomed by PIP and trade unions, but business groups had raised concern over a proposal requiring firms to pay up to 3 years backdated Social Security contributions if a contractor was reclassified as an employee. So they're trying to do reparations here for employees. These complaints led Prime Minister Donald Tusk to scrap an earlier version of the bill in January. They were later addressed in the final version, which stipulates that a decision recognizing an employment relationship will apply only going forward, not retrospectively, reports legal news service Prawo.pl. When the bill came before the Sejm, I'm probably butchering that, the more powerful lower house of the parliament, it was approved by all parties from Tusk's coalition as well as small left-wing together, the Razem Party. However, MPs from the National Conservative Law and Justice Peace, Poland's main opposition party, mostly abstained from voting, while far-right Konfederacja, another opposition group, voted against the bill. That had raised the likelihood that Nawrocki, who is aligned with the opposition, would veto the reform, as he has done with a record number of bills passed by the parliament. So basically, the most important part here for me is when Mr. Nawrocki is talking about let's look at this again. During the run for Prime Minister, as Donald Tusk was doing 2 years ago before he was actually voted into power, the EU had been withholding a lot of funds because the ruling party, they had the majority rule piece. They had a lot of tension between basically Brussels, the EU, as an overall institution, and as I said, the EU was withholding funds. And now that Tusk is the Prime Minister, and now we have, not unfortunately, but we have basically the president is of a different party, and because of that, he can do whatever he wants, and then obviously he has to get the vote in Parliament. But this has been going on for a long time. This is when President Duda, Andrzej Duda was president. The EU was withholding funds even back when he was president. So they've released the funds because Tusk is the Prime Minister. In my opinion, he hasn't kept all his promises. And now we have President Kalinowski looking at this a second time and saying, you know what? As a matter of fact, that might go with EU and its ideology, but maybe for the protection of our own people, maybe this isn't in our country's best interest. So again, before I talk too much further, let's just jump into this interview I have with my friend Joanna, HR specialist, and she was going to shed a lot more light on the situation when it relates to the contracts here in Poland.
Hi, hello.
Hey, Joanna. Hey, good afternoon. Uh,
Good afternoon to you too.
so this topic about the umowy zlecenie and these junk contracts, I guess in Poland,
Yeah,
um, is
it's
that a
never
hot
ending
topic? I
drama.
don't know.
It is a big topic for quite some time now. It's um, it's a topic that which is like toxic for every government there is. Nobody wants to touch it.
Hmm. Hmm.
But the changes are really need to be done. There have been some changes. It's actually a little bit better than the article from 2024
Hmm.
was saying. So it's a little bit different, a little bit better, but there's still a lot more to do. The specific task contract and mandate contract are like one thing, and separate thing, which is even like more important, is B2B contracts,
Hmm.
which actually nowadays they hide an employment contract
Oh.
because it's like more beneficial for both sides, employer and employee.
Hmm.
So many B2B contracts nowadays actually should be an employment contracts, but they're not. They're just simply B2B.
It,
So that's another problem, which is like it touches the same area, like specific task contracts and mandate contracts. So the junk contracts
yeah.
actually.
So that, like, so for instance, I don't know what you're on. I'm on a B2B with the school, um,
Yeah.
but I was on umowy zlecenie before, and I felt like I was paying lower taxes because it
Yes,
was
you have.
mostly on my employer, and then now that I went to B2B, I feel like I'm spending more money with the accountant, paying into Zeus,
Mhm.
all this stuff. So it,
But to make an even situation for you, you should have been proposed increased salary on B2B.
we slowly got to that point. Yeah. So, but
Yeah,
it's taken about a year just to get into that phase of it. But yeah, yeah, slowly but surely, it's increasing.
yeah, yeah. You know, B2B is better if you're like a freelance. You don't have to be, or you don't want to be involved only with, one employer. You have many different things to do. The B2B model is better, I think.
Hmm.
At least in the beginning, where you can have like a discount of tax for 2 years
Right.
of
Yeah.
of conducting a company on your own. So yeah, that's a beneficial model. But contract of employment is like more steady, and especially for younger people who wants to start a family, or who wants to take a mortgage.
Yeah.
So the banks prefer employment contracts as
Hmm.
well.
Hmm.
So so yeah, but the great problem in Poland are junk contracts, which just don't give you anything, like any security of employment, because,
Yeah.
for example, mandate contract can be terminated in one day without, earlier not notice.
Oh, wait. So wait a minute. So in the United States, when I talk to Polish people, they think this is kind of obscene that you could be terminated the same day. But you're saying it happens in Poland also. Like, if
Yeah.
they don't like my performance, they don't have to give me a reason. I could just be fired.
If yes, it's always a case,
Mm-hmm.
even on employment contract.
Mm-hmm.
But to be fired in one day, just you don't, take your things and leave.
Tick the box. Yeah.
Uh, it's disciplinary leave, and you have to do some really bad thing at work
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to which would allow your employer to do such a thing. In normal conditions, I don't know, because of, I don't know, some kind of business arrangements, you need to be fired. You have like 1 month or 3 months notice.
Right. Okay. So okay, at least that much you offer in normal circumstances.
Yes, in normal circumstances, yes. So 1 month or three, it's a standard. It depends on how long you work in one place. But yeah, mandate contracts you can terminate in one day without uh, uh, telling you a cause why.
Mm-hmm.
And when you terminate employment contract, the employer is obligated to tell you the reason why.
Mm-hmm. No, I think for me with the I don't see much difference between the umowa zlecene and the B2B because I still don't have any time off. I still probably have the eligibility for medical care. So for me, that's the same. So
Yeah.
the only difference I see with B2B is the, I don't I don't know other than the more responsibility is on me. But I still don't have time off. I still don't have any sick leave. So for me, they're more or
Well,
less
you
the same.
do.
Yeah.
In both cases, you do. And not many people know this, but you can have a paid sick leave on umowa zlecenie, so this mandate contract.
Really? Oh,
But
okay.
yeah, but you need to check one additional box in your form,
Mm-hmm.
uh, which goes along with mandate contract when you need to write your data and so on. So
Okay.
you can have additional like sick leave benefit
Mm-hmm.
if you checked one box. So it's possible to have paid sick leave on umowa zlecenie. And if you have B2B contract
Mm-hmm.
and you have a company, you also can report your sick leave to ZUS, and they are going to pay you a sick leave.
First time I've ever heard of this. I had no idea. So wait,
Really?
if I were to take a sick leave, if I were on the old contract as Lichine, who pays for that? Does the employer pay for that? Or is that coming out of the kind of the national fund?
I don't know exactly how it works on mandate contract, on employment contract for first 33 days of your sick leave. Your employer pays this, and since from 24th day, you're paid by ZUS.
Okay. Okay. I had no idea. So nobody's encouraging this.
No, no, really. Uh-uh.
Okay.
Yeah, so you need to check if you have a company and you're like on B2B on a regular basis, you need to check if you can, because, for example, my husband is also employed on B2B contract,
Mm-hmm.
and every time he has to stay home because of sickness, he reports this to ZUS and he gets some money out of it. It's like, I don't know, a couple hundred of zloty, but still
Yeah.
it's something.
Yeah.
It's always something.
Yeah. Yeah. Even when I tried to go to the bank and take some small credit, they denied me. Probably first because I'm
Yeah.
not a Polish citizen, and two, I was on a really junk
Yeah.
contract.
You won't get a loan for a, I don't know, a new TV from Media Expert.
Okay. So little to no benefit with this.
Little to none. There has been some change about this mandate contract because from this May, The regulations have changed, and now the mandate contract and time you spent on mandate contract is counting in your retirement. No, not in your retirement, in your vacation leave limit, which you settle when you sign an employer contract, because depending on your limit, you can have either 20 or 26 vacation days in a year. So, and it depends how long you work, actually, you're active in job market, and what type of education you have.
Oh, it's based on your education?
Yes, as well.
Why?
So to get 26 days in a year of vacation days, the best scenario is for you to have a higher education, so engineer or masters, because for that you have 8 years. You need to get 10 years, all in all, to have 26 days a year. So first 8 you get when you go to college and you get some degree. So that gives you 8 years. So you need to work on employment contract for another 2 to have 26 days in a year. If you don't have this 10-year limit, you're on 20 days of vacation days in a year.
Okay. I had also did not know that.
So previously, before May of this year, what counted was only the employment contract. And from May, they count also mandate contracts and B2B.
Okay, so they combine.
Yeah, so if someone has like higher education, some kind of degree, so they have 8 years, and they spend 2 additional years on mandate contract, they will get 26 days if they sign employment contract.
Okay. So is there any reason why an employer would go with B2? Is it just to have less responsibility for the employee, or is it to give them flexibility in case they just don't like the performance? Like, why do they choose
First and
this?
foremost, it's cheaper.
Cheaper, okay.
It's cheaper to maintain your employees on B2B, because you can pay your employee a little bit more, but the taxes and so on is your employee's responsibility, not yours.
Right, right.
On invoice and such. So it's cheaper to have people this way than employment contract. The case of sick leaves is also much easier for employer on B2B, because they don't pay. It's on employee's side. If you terminate contract, you don't need to say why. You just terminate it. What else? And
wow.
in general, you can fire anyone. And on employment contract, there are some limitations. For example, you cannot fire a pregnant woman.
On an employment contract?
Yes, on employment contract, you cannot do it. You will lose at court if you do.
Okay. But let's say that's reversed. So if I'm a woman on a umovis lechene and I want to start a family, do I still get some government maternity leave, or this is all falling on the woman or the family?
Yeah.
Oh, so that's
horrible. It's all on a woman, and actually she's on some kind of benefits from ZUS, but it's definitely not enough to sustain life and sustain a family. So that's why people need to have employment contract. It's for sure better solution for women who wants to start a family.
Yeah.
To have an employment contract, because they have social security, they cannot be fired. The banks like the employment contracts better. So, pluses.
So now I understand when people say they're really thinking about having a family because they because of the birth rate being low. Probably if you're on
Yeah.
these really bad contracts, you you
You
have
have
you
nothing.
have
Like
nothing.
you have no leverage.
Wow, I didn't know that also.
It's it's very dangerous situation because very easily, without knowing why, sometimes you can end up in unemployment situation and you have like no means to live.
Mhm. Mhm.
So yeah, that's why.
Mhm.
That's
Um.
one reason for
Wow.
sure. Yes, and it's not always, a bad will of the employer.
Mhm.
It's just business decisions that they can't afford employer contracts because the national treasury and the gathered money of the government is based mainly on employer contracts. It's like huge taxes. For example, if I, on an employment contract, want to have salary, net salary, let's say 5,000 zloty, my employer needs to pay for me 8.5,
So 5,000 in hand is 8.5 salary. Wow.
at least.
Oh my. So it's almost you're almost paying. What? So what's the tax
Double.
rate here? It's like 35%, 32%.
If you're not reaching the end of first level, it's 12%. And when you reach the level, the limit, it's 32 from your salary only. And there are many like social security taxes which employer needs to pay for you to be able to have you in their stuff.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay.
So it's
Yeah.
it's very often, a business decision that the employers that just don't have enough money to sustain employment contracts in their company,
Yeah, I know a lot of
especially
guys.
small businesses.
Yeah, I know a lot of guys in IT. They seem to be doing the freelance B2B. That seems to be kind of the alternative to a regular contract. I found like IT guys do
Yeah,
a lot of the B2B stuff.
yeah. In IT sector, the B2B model is like almost 100%.
So to have a B2B, that means you have to have a registered company.
Yeah,
Okay.
with an IP number. So tax and identification number.
Yeah. Okay. So it was pretty easy for me to get this. I was surprised at how efficient the system was to open a small entity. So yeah.
Small businesses you can open actually for Poles. I don't know the regulations about the foreign people without Polish citizenship, but actually for Poles it's just one day of work with many offices, but you can do it in one day. It's very easy.
Yeah, I went online and I was able to do it in one day. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
with the
yeah,
peso number, of course.
yeah.
Yeah.
So if you have a pastel, you have it's like a multi-pass
Hmm.
for everything.
Okay, Joanna. So go Spain. Uh,
Go
go
Spain.
Spain, and have fun. See you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah.
Have a nice week and see you
You,
next week.
you too. Bye.
Bye.